coming here, there were lots of things that I had to do by myself, but like I said, I was super young. I turned 17 in America when I landed. I actually left on my birthday. And so,
Oh,
yeah, in December. And
okay.
so it was, now I have things to tell people that are about to come and say, oh, do this, oh, do that, right? Especially if people are coming here for like their masters and not necessarily their undergrad. So, but nobody told me anything, right? I had my own notion. I had this whole thing with family and culture. Oh, don't disgrace us. You are the first. Don't to do this, don't to do that, you know. So obviously the upbringing was there, but personal development, I zeroed in my mind that coming to America was going to be a clean slate for me in every ramification. And I don't know if I was too young to make that determination, but guess what? It happened, especially academically, right? I was like, I'm going to do what they sent me here to do, but if possible, I'm going to do other things that I'm interested in, which was why I double majored in international relations and mass communications. Remember, I was doing law in University of Benin because obviously every art student, they always want you to do law. But then coming here, I noticed that you cannot really do law like that. You have to do maybe a major before you go into law school and whatnot. So we decided that an easier path would be to do international relations, right? And so I did international relations with the hope of eventually going to law school. But plans changed, as we said, as we normally say. I think halfway through, I think my sophomore stroke junior year, I was like, I really, really want to do something in mass communications because guess what? I'm a content creator now, but
Yeah.
at the time, I didn't really know my workings around, cameras and whatnot. And I really wanted to do something related to that. And so I went and I did my research. My school had this whole different programs and they broke it down. There's TV production, there is something about newscasting, but it was called a different name. There was public relations and there was advertising. So I chose public relations because I felt like, PR is more me, apart from the fact that, you have the element of being in front of the cameras, but not necessarily but you are doing more. And I wanted something that had the mix of, business and communication, so I could eventually get a job once I come out, realistically speaking. So I went for PR. So I double majored in international relations and PR. Coming here, I made sure that, school was my priority. So I buried myself in like tips and ways to learn by myself, tips and ways to make my GPA very good. And I had that thing of starting early, which was awesome. But before I came here, the journey, they've given me visa that I went through 7 miles and 7 oceans to get, right? Tell me why when I landed from Lagos to Abuja, when I landed in Abuja, when my dad picked me up from the airport, everybody was excited and happy. And I told him, I said, see, this is what they told me in the embassy, that I cannot come until at least 30 days before my school, whatever starts.
Start.
I don't know if it was the excitement. My dad was like, okay, 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 I've heard you. He did not hear me. No, because I paid for it after. So, but then, so my uncle and my dad, obviously they coordinated because again, I'm the child. It's not my business. But instead of December, I was supposed to start school in January, right? So instead of December, because of cheaper tickets, they decided to get it on an earlier date, which was November. And no, we didn't really know the implication because, to be fair, I got the visa in September. So prepared everything. November 12th, I was slated to leave Nigeria. I left Nigeria. Forget all the drama that happened in the airport. Eventually got to Minneapolis after spending almost 24 hours on air. The flight directly from Abuja to Paris was, I think, 6 hours ish. And then the layover and then travel from Paris to Minneapolis was about 10 hours. So after that, getting there, immediately I got there, they told me, "Oh, sorry, we cannot let you in." I said, "One, is it Japanese or
What are you
Francais that you're
speaking? Let
speaking?"
me understand.
I don't get it.
Just
Oh,
tell me,
eh,
repeating.
I don't understand it. And she was like, "Oh, no, 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 you didn't do nothing wrong. You just came in a little bit early."
Early.
Like, what does early mean? Do you understand? Like, what does that mean? She said, oh, that because of my F1 visa, I'm only allowed into the country 30 years, 30 years, 30 days before, 30 days before, right? And I said, okay, so in English, what does that mean? She said, you're going
Exactly.
back to Nigeria.
Because she was
It
speaking
means,
Igbo before.
yes, Yes, I'm like, you were speaking French before, I don't understand. She said, you're going back to Nigeria. And I was like, okay. She said, and you'll be back in 3 weeks. You can call back in 3 weeks because we can't admit you into the country right now because of the date. Hey. I said, can I at least speak to my uncle? Grateful, like every journey I was taking, like the break and everything, I had my uncle's number offhand and I had my parents' number offhand. So I was always calling them, tell them where I've gotten to and whatnot. So I told them to call my uncle. They did call my uncle. My uncle was like, he does not understand what they're saying. And I said, okay, can I at least see them? So everybody was at the airport, my uncle, my aunt, my cousins, my grandmother, cameras, everything to welcome Uchechi to America. Allah America. Got there and I saw my grandmother. I was so excited. But like I said, they only gave me 10 minutes. They said, like one prisoner. Sorry, you've been coordinating or you've been cooperating with us so far, but please, let's just make it snappy. So and I told my grandmother that, oh, I'm about to leave. So my grandmother was like, why are you leaving? You just got here. And then my uncle was like, I'll explain to you later. So that kind of broke me into many pieces. And then I went back. The
Wait,
cold that was
did
catching.
you take back your things, or were you allowed to give your things to your uncle or anything like that? So that at least when you're coming,
Every goddamn thing one day I took it back.
damn.
Operation back to sender. Like it was not a joke. From, like I said, the way I broke it down, Abuja to Paris, Paris to Minneapolis, Minneapolis to Paris,
Back.
Paris back to Abuja. The next available flight. That's what they put
What
me back
you
on.
did it not? You didn't pay for the flight, the one that took you back.
Going back, no. But it did not really matter because the one I even came with was a round ticket anyways. So, but it did not matter because, it was whatever. I think it had a different time, obviously. Um, but yeah, I was, the minute they said, as I was trying to explain to the lady, like, I don't understand what you're saying. She was like, oh, do you have a bag? Do you have like luggages? I was like, yes, of course.
Ah,
I got to
I
luggage.
came
She
prepared.
said, okay, go and bring your luggage, please. I said, okay, no problem. I went and brought my luggage. After she finished processing and typing computer, she said, unfortunately, you're going back home. And that was what happened. So when they brought me back to sit down to process the flight and whatnot, as I was there was another couple that came, and God knows I will never forget this. The couple came, and then I think they also had kind of a similar issue. His wife didn't leave the country when she was supposed to leave the last time she came, something like that. And then the lady now said, do you have luggage? Me that was the the way I started laughing, I was like, oh,
At least you are not alone.
I said, yeah, okay, your wife, get it. She's going back
She
to
was
send.
going back together.
Come and join the family. One day we are going back together. I was like, God, forgive
What's
me.
that?
That was horrible. Hey, I was shaking like this. I just started laughing. I was just like, this is not funny. I'm supposed to be crying, but it was just a funny situation at
Yeah.
the moment, right? So I remember God wanted to kill me, Jesus Christ. I was like, God, I just smelled the air in this America.
Oh,
Yeah, my name is. You have done your work too.
God. Village
Your
people, they were strong.
Hey, people had to follow me to Minneapolis. Go,
Police.
go. Mm. I got inside the airplane. I was about to leave, and then this guy that was sitting down with me, the man made the mistake. I felt bad for him now that I think about it because he just asked me. He was like, "Oh, so are you going to? Do you have family in Paris?" I said, "Oh, okay, Fagene. No, they are sending me back home." He was like, "They're sending. I don't understand." I started explaining to the extent that, to be honest, all the energy in me, because obviously I was sad. That
That's
was the
sad
first time,
news.
to be honest, that was the first time in my life, if I can actually think of me being genuinely heartbroken, without, yeah, genuinely
And
had
you were so young to have
yeah,
even
yeah,
processed that.
yeah, yeah. And then I remember getting to Paris, and then he had, because I was technically still a minor, I had like, a year left. These police officers were guiding me. I was just looking at them like this. I was like, Lele, Lele. Just be deceiving yourself. How did I come here? how did I come here? Do you understand? So your
Yeah.
mind now, you want to
You want
protect me.
to.
Sure. I was so upset, But anyways, got back to Nigeria. I told my mom when I got to Paris, I called them. I was just crying all through. I'll not even lie. And then that was the first time I saw my dad. Actually, my dad has always been kind and whatever, but he doesn't really show emotion. My mom is the person that shows emotion like that. But my dad was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Have you eaten? Just try and eat something, yeah." You see, daddy. That's what he used to say. I was like, okay, I'll eat because my dad asked me to eat. Got back home. I told my mom, I said, I cannot go back to our house. So, because you know how it is now in Nigeria. After
Yeah.
they finish punishing you and everything,
Hey, how did you handle that?
I didn't. I didn't go home.
So where
I
did
went
you
to stay
go?
with family. I stayed in a family friend's house. One of our in-laws places like that in the city in Abuja, and I was just walking around like a thief one with turtleneck and eyeglasses because I didn't want nobody to recognize me because I was supposedly supposed to be in
You
Nigeria,
have
in
traveled out.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was lonely, but at the same time, it wasn't too lonely because my mom always came to visit me where I was. My dad to the same thing. They couldn't really call me at home, so they always call me when they're at work or when they're about to go home. They will come and bring stuff for me. Like, I mean, not necessarily food because I had literally everything I needed at home. I could not really spend naira, so to speak, because I wasn't really going anywhere. But my mom sha made sure that I was okay, and the family I was staying with, they were super nice and super sweet. I was calling some of the friends I cared about, so just like one or two, because I didn't want to be answering too many questions via private number. I think only one person knew what was going on, everything I told. But the others, I was just calling them a private with private number. They'll be like, "Hey, favor, how is America?" Blah, blah, blah. I say, "Hey,
You come
this
as this
place
something.
is fine, Bobo." God have mercy, Bobo. Bobo and Valeen. I was like, sometimes when I finish line, I'm like, "Oh, Chichi, you're going to hell." The lie.
The hell will be very hot.
I'm like, if you see the street there, lights like this. There's this one time that they even did fire on the side. Lie. Jesus Christ. I was in Utako, Abuja. Utako, Abuja. That was where I was in the city. But anyways, that was, a little bit just mask. And then the second time, my dear, I just prayed. Nearly things wanted to happen, like challenges with like flights or whatever. But me and my dad were able to figure it out, got here, got settled. I was counting down the days of going to school. When I got to school, I went there super early. I went there like a week or 2 weeks even before international students were supposed to resume because I was already, like I said, I was there literally almost 3 weeks earlier too when I even came back. Like it was within the range and within the
Regular
time,
time
but
period.
it was still early. Yeah. So I went to school, I think 2 weeks before I was, or like a week before I was supposed to resume as an international student for orientation. And that was also a week before school was supposed to start properly. So 2 weeks before spring semester 2013 started. Oh my God. I did not join, I wasn't in a hurry to join all these organizations, which is another thing I also want to tell people. Um, it's your first semester. So I don't know how else to say the word relax. So relax, absorb all the learning experiences that you're going to get. Enjoy. Ah, God, I cannot stress it. Enjoy the moment, right? Because those things will eventually turn out to be memories, right? Make friends. It doesn't matter where they are from. Do you understand? I had issues with, making friends with people that kind of looked like me or people I could relate to. But I was hoping I would see at least a black person. I quickly started understanding that the person didn't now have to be black, just be a colored person so that we can shall be sharing some sort of experiences.
Come
Do you
on,
understand?
yeah.
Yeah, because obviously the school was my school is actually very diverse, whatever that means. We have a lot of international students, but you don't see a lot of African students. Like it was with time it started growing, our population, our community started growing. But when I started, there was an African American community on campus, and they were, oh my God, I should literally write a book, man. I had to learn the differences between, you know, seeing us that way and eventually learning to accept that we are the same and we are fighting this fight of racism. And eventually, having people from all walks of life, different majors, understanding their cultures, not necessarily the intricate details, but at least knowing one or two things about those people. um my first semester was very, very, it was very open, let me put it that way. And I thought about the idea of joining organizations because there's this thing called main street and side street. Main street is in the fall, side street is in the spring. Main street is where you have all these organizations pitched to people to join them, as members. I'll say, as much as you might have one or two ideas, don't necessarily join. Just attend their meetings and see if it's even a right fit for you, right? Have social clubs that you can join, and also have the ones that are also related to your major, because eventually you can build um a journey for yourself to eventually attain a leadership position that will eventually be helpful to you when you're looking for a job when you graduate, okay? Because yeah, that journey is unmatched. My first internship, right? I didn't even know I was going to get it, but it was because I eventually became the president of the Nigeria Students Organization. I used my experiences to land that internship at the city of Minneapolis, right? So whatever you think might be invaluable, trust me, it's not. Do you get? But your first semester should not be the time for you to just want to, because it will be too many responsibilities. You're still trying to settle down. You're still trying to get, as an international student, you're trying to get bank information. You're trying to get social security. You're supposed to, you're trying to even get a job. Things like that. Like, just use it to enjoy every moment as it comes, make friends. It doesn't matter where they are from. That those your Indian friends will be the ones to hook you up in the future. You don't know. Do you understand? And
True.
stuff like that. I think that's the most I could say for now.
How
Sorry, I
are
just went on.
you? No, it's good. It's good because that's the point. It's supposed to flow, and you're actually doing amazing. Like that's where I wanted it to go. But how are you able to like find an on-campus job, and how are you able to fund your tuition? Because you said that, I mean, you're not from a so wealthy family. So how was that like for you?
So again, I did both education, undergrad and graduate studies. First of all, it depends on what the person wants to do. I'll answer your question, but I'm just going to say it in the context of what I think will be helpful to some people. So if you're doing undergrad, I would be very honest with you. Don't come here to do your undergrad if you don't have the funds for it, or if you don't have a means to get some sort of funds, or at least half of it. Do you understand? Because being an international student in this country is difficult. I will not lie. Do you understand? Undergraduate degree, my first semester, I was looking for jobs as every other person. Like, I had this thing of, hopefully my parents will be able to sponsor. Do you understand? Because they were the ones that brought me here, so I am not gonna die. But at the same time, I was looking for a means of making my own side money so I don't have to be depending on them. That's number one. Number two, I was also looking for a means of, we are six children, of taking off that burden so they don't have to worry about just me, right? So what I decided to do was to, number one, make friends, because a friend, especially an international student that is doing something, and if they consider you a friend, they will tell you about it, especially if they need more people. And when you're making these friends, always talk to them about your needs to get a job. Trust me, you don't know who can help you, right? Because this thing they say, a closed mouth is a closed destiny. Trust me, it's a real thing, right? I remember a friend in one of my classes telling me that, oh, there is this. I mean, I was looking for jobs my own way, like the career site on campus. I went to the career offices and I physically told them. There were even times where I physically go to the offices that I was interested in to tell them that I was actually looking for a job, right? And they will always refer me back to the career site, but I felt it was important for them to see me and see the fact that I was making the effort to actually work in their company, right? And I always do not ask to speak with the office assistant, and lie. I always used to ask to speak with the director or somebody that is in the higher admin or the office manager. Do you understand? Because I felt like it was very, very important for me to meet them. Another thing I did was, if I did find a job on campus, right, I would not just apply, I will go to the office physically to tell them, oh, I've applied for this job. Now, whether or not that comes down to something is completely up in the air, but at least I made that effort, or at least my processes. My first job on campus was for the spring. It was a collar job. It didn't last for long, but because, it was on and off and it depended on budgeting. So, but it was a friend, I think, I kind of, because a lot of international students were doing it that period. So I think that friend was like, oh, Favor, there's this job on campus that you just have to go and sign up for. They will train you. I was like, oh, really? So I did. And I also put other of my international students too on that as well. So even if you did not keep doing it, even if it was not a stable means of income, at least the 750 they were paying me every other week or something. Do you get? Depending on the hours that you work. So the first semester, that was it. But after some time, the funds were not really coming as I expected, like monthly upkeep and whatever. So I needed something more stable. My job was not for paying tuition in my undergrad. No, paying tuition happened in my graduate school. Do you understand? But for my undergrad, actually, I lied. Partially my senior year. Yeah, my senior year. Um, yeah, my senior, ending junior senior year. Do you understand? I still had some support, but not all the way, which was fine because, whatever, I was working to help myself. But I wasn't taking the burden of paying my tuition all through. It was my graduate school that was paying my tuition all through, or solely responsible for that, if that makes sense. Um, I remember looking for jobs on campus, which was very, very difficult. And then eventually I saw this catering job on campus. At first, I was telling myself, me, go and be working in the kitchen. Say who die for waiting. One
Oh, they owe you.
oh me. Favor tete Maurice Omiarojika, oh me. I don't master one. Do you understand? One, you have to learn quickly that it does not
You
matter
go
the job
wash
that
plates.
wash the plates. So it doesn't matter where you're from, it's money. There's nothing like dirty money in this America.
Oh, nothing.
Money is money. I had a friend, I don't know if I can say his name. Actually, I can say his name because he's doing well now. I can see him. I can work with Sodexo. Sodexo was the name of the company that year. Work with Sodexo, wash their plates, cook their food, flip their burger, still come out and wear Zara with his tight pants and his fine. He will look good, and you'll be like, don't be this boy who are just sitting down where they wash plates. That is life. Do you understand? There's nothing like dirty money in America. Do you understand? I had to learn that quickly. I spoke to this lady that was a manager, and I told her, see, you know what? I was looking for office job, but obviously office job is not for me because they were not calling me back. And that's another issue that I don't even want to get into, because most of the international students or the students of color, you mostly find them in the kitchen and all these service areas.
Yeah.
Right ones you find in the offices. But I don't want to also take away the fact that, someone like myself, I guess eventually in grad school, I was blessed to get a GA position where I was working in an office. But I just felt like the situation would have been a little bit
Yeah.
better. But anyway, I spoke to this lady in catering, and then she was able to, I told her about my experience helping my aunt during the summer, because my aunt owns a catering um business, and I was helping her to that some like the summer previously, but I just told her how I've been helping my aunt and what we do and whatnot. And another thing I'm going to put there as a tip that you could use for any job, whatever job you are applying to, make sure, even though your experience, what you think your experience is not enough, that's a lie. Make sure you even know what you want, know what the job is about, know what it entails, right? And then relate your experiences to what you want to do eventually. Do you understand? I'm not saying lie on your resume, but I'm just saying craft your experiences to whatever experience you already had before. Look for those things that you feel like will stand out, those skills, soft skills, hard skills, it does not really matter, that will apply to the job or related to the job that you want. Because if there are two opposite things, then they'll look at you as an unserious person. Why are you applying to this job when you don't even know
Yeah.
what the job is about? Do you
Yeah.
understand? So if you have some sort of, skill or some sort of experience or some knowledge that would be helpful, talk about it during the interview, talk about it on your resume to at least get your foot through the door. Do you understand? So that was basically what I told. At first, I didn't think my experience with helping my aunt during her catering business was going to be helpful, but guess what? It was, because now I know the shebang. I know everything about it. And that was what I was able to use to get my first catering job that actually lasted me for more than 2 years. That job was not stable as well. I've had a lot of unstable jobs, but they've been paying the bills for the most part. But and it did not stop me from looking for other
Yeah.
opportunities, right? And then eventually, I think by junior year, I got an office assistant position. And that's basically what I was telling you about, applying for a job and then immediately going
There.
to the office. Yes. And I spoke to the manager, and she was like, "Oh, you already applied?" I said, "Yes." She now said, "Oh, do you have your resume?" I said, "Yes, I have my resume in my hand." I already applied online, though, but I had my resume in my hand when I went to go and meet her. And then she was like, "Okay, let them look through it and then they'll get back to me as soon as possible." By Monday, let's say I submitted that thing Friday, like meant we have Friday. By Monday, they called me in for an interview. Before the end of the interview, I got the job. I got the job on the spot. Do you understand? And then I worked there for, I think, a year plus. That's when I said, whatever I was making from there was basically what I was using to make up my, you know, tuition. I think my junior year, ending of my junior year. And then my senior year, I got another job that was paying for as a community advisor, but in schools they call it resident assistants.
System.
So the job was paying for my housing, so I didn't have to worry about housing, and I didn't have to worry about food technically. But as Nigerians and Africans, there are other foods that you want to buy. So I was supplementing it with like my school and whatnot. Um, the good thing about my office assistant job was I was not just doing that office assistant job. There was another peer advisor job that I was doing. So it was a bunch of things. And I used to tell people that there's no job on that campus, St. Cloud, that was available to international students that me, Favor Uchechi, so me and Rojika did not do. It's not in the summer. It's not normal. Like I was always, even if they were temporary, I was always gathering experience here, gathering experience there, right? And I was always shaping my life and my experiences around that. I will not necessarily recommend people do that if they're not organized, but it's the situation being an international student, you cannot really help it.
Yeah.
For undergrad, I will not really advise people to come here if they don't have some sort of stable way of at least paying their tuition. Rent and food can be something you could dabble around. Do you understand? But your tuition, if you don't have that base support, it's going to be difficult for you here. Some people try to make it work, but then they are also cornered into undeniable situations. So my advice would be finish your undergrad and then plan properly for your masters, because number one, your masters is shorter, it's 2 years. Do you understand? So if you can get the tuition for at least your first year, the other year you can figure it out. Do you understand? So yeah, and before you come for your masters, you should have like a graduate assistant opportunity. You might not have it on the spot, but at least apply to it. Do you understand? Apply to it and then come on campus, familiarize yourself with people, and then see how it goes from there. That's basically what I can
That was
say.
a lot of information. Very
Yeah.
useful, very relevant. So many tips here and there. I feel that if you're watching this as an undergrad or aspiring undergrad, this is 100% useful. If you're an
Yeah.
aspiring master's student in the US, 100% useful. But I wanted to find out, how was the transition like for you from undergrad to masters? Was it tasking, or did you just go to the department and say, okay, I'm graduating in the fall, can I proceed for my masters? Was there something else behind the
No,
scene that
no.
happened?